Can we tag along with you today? I hear you're going to be bricking a Corsair Arch.
Yeah, Jimmy and I are going to get started on that right now. This is going to be a follow-up video to the insulating video that we made recently. We're going to be installing the fire brick. We're going to be mortaring it in.
Great. So which type of arch are you going to be demoing today?
It's a 2x4 Corsair. The Corsair is insulated for a hybrid pan. So the same exact pre-cut brick kit is furnished for the 2x4 as it is the 2x3, 2x5, and 2x6 Corsair. The exact same bricks, same size firebox. Everything is pre-cut. That makes it very simple. Pre-cutting the bricks is by far the most difficult part, and that part's already done for you. So this is going to be pretty much like putting a Lego set together.
Nice. Okay, cool. Let's get started. I look forward to learning about mortar and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and all the tips and tricks that we're going to show you as we mortar and brick this arch, they apply to all the different size Corsairs and also the Silverplate. Again, the Silverplate has a different cut pattern for the bricks. It's a different firebox entirely. But the way we mortar and the way we install, and so all of the tips that we give you during this video, they all apply to the Silverplate too.
All right, well, let's get started.
Let's do it. These are the brick ledges. They go in and they bump up against the insulation. I'm a little bit picky on how I do things. I like to have the drop leg of this brick shelf toward the inside of the firebox. That doesn't matter a whole lot, so if you've already done yours and you have it the other way, it doesn't really matter. In theory, if this were to bow at all under any kind of weight, then at least it would lean the bricks toward the outer wall of the arch. Again, that's way overthinking it. It doesn't really matter, but that's how it goes in. And they just bump up against the insulation. If you have it just like that, you're gonna have the perfect spacing for your cast iron grates to go in there if you have forced draft, or perfect spacing for your steel grates if you do not have forced draft.
So these are bricks that are included with the arch?
Yep, and it comes with a step-by-step instruction that you'll use. It's just like putting a Lego set together. It walks you through every single layer. It shows the overview of the bricks that are included, and your kit is going to be all pre-cut. You're not going to be cutting any of these. These are all factory cut. So step by step, it'll show you how they're stacked in there. And we'll do kind of an overhead view of the installation right now too. So with that, the next thing I do, just to keep the mess down. Now we do have some cardboard down on the floor because we just don't want to have to mess with getting any mortar off of the epoxy floor. So that bucket I put there upside down, that is just so that I can put my bucket of mortar at a comfortable working height. And that's just where I keep my mortar as I'm working. Then I would be using some rubber gloves and dipping into the mortar with a rubber glove to put the mortar on the bricks.
So Jimmy, tell me about this mortar. Was that pre-mixed, or how much water did you have to add?
I actually didn't add any water to this. There was some moisture right on the top actually, so it was in a pretty good state to start. What I'm looking to do is get like a nice coating here, I'm looking for about 1/8 of an inch of a thin coating to get started. And one of the things that helps me a lot is laying my bricks out, labeling my bricks so I know what brick is what. Put all your full bricks in a stack. Put all your thin bricks in a stack, and then the rest of them, mark them your A through G bricks, and then that's a really nice way to be able to know that you've got it set up correctly.
So you don't need to do the back, right?
Yeah, we don't have to do the back. We only have to do the surfaces where the bricks adhere to each other. And that's important. Sometimes I find folks will use just a ton of mortar and they'll run through their bucket really quick in that scenario. So I'm being a miser about it because I like to have a little bit left over, because what I like to do as a maintenance thing on year 2 or year 3, I'll come back with a little bit of mortar I have left and I'll fill in the cracks and kind of reapply it that way. I've had my mortar last in my Corsairs 7 years without having to re-brick. So that's a really nice thing. I hear people talk about that all the time. It's part of their process.
So you're able to get that in without tearing the insulation?
Yeah, it's going to be snug. It's meant to be. We want it to be nice and tight and get it set in there. But yeah, it does get in there and tight, and we can always go back and make adjustments, you know, a little bit if we need to. This doesn't have to be perfect. This is only a few courses of bricks that we're dealing with. But yeah, that's a good way to just, you know, the insulation does compress, you know, so it's easy to work with the insulation that way.
So just to be double cautious, is this a good time to check to make sure our grates fit?
You can do that now. I'm going to wait till we're just about done. Everything is still going to be able to be moved a little bit, so definitely do that before you're done. And remember, we don't have to mortar in the 4 little G bricks that go in the front. Those are just placeholders to lock in our grates.
So if people are bricking in the middle of winter, you have to kind of be careful that the mortar doesn't freeze, right?
That's right. You want that mortar warmed up in the house, nice and warm, so it's easy to work with, to make that a lot simpler. That's important. So have it inside for some time. Have your bricks warm. That can help too. So I'm just going to pull this one off, tuck that one back in, make sure that I apply a little thin coat, and set that in just nicely. Get that tucked in. Really fitting nicely together here. And you may have a different way of doing this, and some of you may be professional bricklayers in your other jobs and work, and that is totally fine. We might do this once or twice a year as a hobbyist or a producer. I will say this, one thing really important if you're going to store your mortar, store it with the lid on sealed tight. I would even maybe tape the lid shut so it stays moist and so it stays, ready for you when you want to do some maintenance on your Corsair bricks at the beginning of the season.
When I'm bricking an arch, the only thing that I ever find myself, like if I'm gonna, like a common error,
Yeah.
I find that for some reason I drift up here, like one end is higher than the other. But in this case, like visually it looks fine. So no, it looks really good.
I think the only mistake I make sometimes for me is that I forgot that last course of bricks is the thin brick, and I really don't need to mortar too much. But that does help that joint a little bit.
Oh, I see. You put more. You smeared mortar.
I smeared a little more than I needed to.
I probably do that every time too because I don't think of it. But.
You don't think of where you're on the next about. As long as you recover. What's cool about this? It's very forgiving while it's wet. So you can take a brick off and put it back.
And you can see how much mortar he has left from a bucket. I mean, he used a half a bucket here, maybe not even a strong half. That's about half the bucket. So we do sometimes have a custom, like it's unusual, but someone who is bricking a Corsair and they get a quarter of the way done and they're out of mortar. And it's obviously that means that they put a huge mortar joint in, which that's not even strong to do. It's not even good to do that for a bunch of reasons. So you should be able to darn near do 2 Corsairs with the amount of mortar that we send. But it's nice to have it because after the season, some of the face, like see how he's facing it off now? He's like he's closing off all the joints so that they're nice and smooth. It's nice to be able to have mortar at the end of the season to touch that up, because that seems like, out of everything, that seems to chip off a little bit. So no, I think it looks really good. Okay, so the brick is installed. I hope that was helpful for you guys. There's going to be another video coming next week. We're going to do our best to keep those coming. There's been a lot of people asking for more videos, and it's something we're going to try to focus on a little bit more. So like or subscribe if you want more videos. That kind of helps us watch things on how well they're embraced and stuff, and it's encouraging. I like to see that. So like or subscribe, like and subscribe, actually hit them both, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, this is what it boils down to.
This is what it boils down to.